you would like to enhance your relationships? How many of you would like to communicate more effectively so that the other person gets you? Great. I'm Kim Gugliotta, and welcome to Master My Relationships. But first I would like to acknowledge you, before we get started, for being here today. It's taken your time, your energy, your resources to be here. You could have been anywhere on a Saturday and you chose to be here. So I want to acknowledge you for that. I'm a social worker and a certified addictions professional. And what I've found most over the last 10 years of counseling people and speaking with people is they want to know how to enhance their relationships. They want to know how to communicate more effectively so the other person gets them. So what we're going to learn today is how to, well, communicate more effectively, how to enhance your relationships, get the joy, the passion, the happiness you want in your relationships. And we're also going to learn how to break free from the victim triangle. And we're going to get into that in a minute. And as well as plunge into what I call the circle of serenity. So, before we get started, I just want everyone to know that I believe everyone has the right to live their best life, to transform and have a life beyond their wildest dreams. So what we're going to do before we get started is I'm going to have you guys break off into partners. No, I'm not. Before we do that, before we break off into partners, I get ahead of myself. I have some notebooks placed under your chairs, and I'm going to have you pull those out, and you're going to go ahead and get your notebooks. Sure, all right. And I'm going to have you write down 5 things that frustrate you about your partner. Could be your domestic partner, could be your spouse, husband, wife, mother, child. 5 things that frustrate you. So go ahead and take a couple of minutes and do that. A couple of minutes while I... Okay, everybody have their 5 things? All right, great. So what we're going to do is, now we're going to break off into partners. So everybody go ahead and get a partner. And anyone doesn't have a partner, raise your hand. Nope, we're all good. Everybody has a partner. Terrific. Okay. So partner A, go ahead and touch partner B's knee. Okay. So do we know who partner A is? And partner B. Good. Okay. All right, partner A, raise your hand. Terrific. Partner B, raise your hand. Awesome. Okay. So partner A, you're going to go first. I want you to tell partner B the 5 things that frustrate you about your partner. Now, we're going to get audio on the video of the audience. We don't have the audience in the video. So go ahead, partner A, and you're going to tell partner B 5 things that frustrate you. And partner B, I want you to really pay attention. Give partner A your undivided, full attention. Really show them compassion, understanding as they're sharing. Okay, partner A, go ahead. Give a couple minutes.
Okay, so my partner, she likes to eat snacks in bed at night, and then she gets really mad at herself for doing so. She never thinks that the yard looks good enough. She doesn't like the way I do the laundry sometimes, and other things. So she criticizes when I'm, being helpful. She
Okay, great. So is everybody done with did everybody get finished
Yeah.
with their 5? Do we need more time or?
Well,
Okay, I'll give you, all right, go right ahead.
Okay, so sometimes she therapizes me. So I think that's 5. Okay. What about partner B?
Okay, great. So, does everybody get done? Do we have enough time? Okay, terrific. All right. So now, partner B, I'm going to have you tell partner A 5 things that frustrate you about partner, relationship. And partner A, I want you to ignore partner B. So don't pay attention, fiddling, do whatever you do, but don't pay any attention. Okay? We ready? Okay, partner B, go right ahead.
So for me, my partner, 5 things about him that annoy me or that I wish I could change about him. Number 1, I wish he was in the state. He's traveling, so he's not around me. Number 2, I don't know that I don't feel safe communicating with him. I'm always wondering, like, is he judging me? Like, is he, like, trying to fix me? So there's a little bit of fear in, like, how I show up to him. So there's a part of me that's kind of always acting around him. And something else about, he does smoke. I'm not a huge fan of smoking. But it's his house, we can do whatever he wants. And he's not as communicative as I would like. I love, like, praise and acknowledgement and stuff. And he doesn't really share with me. So, and yeah, so I'm left kind of guessing what he wants, if anything. And I feel like sometimes he could just take me or leave me.
Okay,
I'm
all right,
good.
terrific. So everyone completed? Okay, good, great. All right, so now it's time for sharing, and I want you to share whatever came up for you, whether the 5 things you shared, how you felt when your partner was listening, not listening, how you felt being partner B and you didn't get a chance to have partner A listen to you. So anything that came up for you. Anyone like to share?
With my partner or with you?
Share with the group.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Oh, okay, Julie. Go right ahead.
I thought that it was appropriate that my partner wasn't looking at me and was ignoring me because that's kind of how I feel about my real partner. I thought that's interesting that I would source that here as well as there. Like, how appropriate.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Julie. So how did that make you feel?
It was fine. Like, I just noticed it. There's not a feeling associated with it per se.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So you recognized just what was going on for you in that moment. All right. Terrific. Great. Thanks for sharing, Julie. It's good Julie here. Is there anyone else who would like to share?
Sure, I'll share.
Oh,
So
okay, go
my
ahead.
name's Dory.
Stand up. Okay.
And so I felt that my partner was very attentive, and it was nice to have somebody that was really there listening to me. I noticed for myself that I really liked to be listened to and heard.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dory. Thank you for sharing. All right. Terrific, guys. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take you through the victim triangle. Okay? So, I have a nice triangle here. And of course, the victim triangle always has the victim. Then we have the rescuer. And we have the persecutor. Okay? So, usually what happens in this triangle is we have a victim, we have a rescuer. We take on those roles. And victim, rescuer, they're actually both from a victim standpoint. I'm going to describe to you what happens between victim and rescuer. Usually the victim can be the damsel in distress, needs someone to support her or him. Maybe he's lost his job, or she's working at a dead-end job, not making that much money, looking for that perfect person to come along and rescue her or him. So the rescuer is the one that appears to have it all together, that is on the outside, you know, they come in, I can fix it. Not only I can fix it, I can fix you. Now, the victim has the same standpoint. They're looking at their rescuer, and they're going to figure out how they can fix him or her. So what happens is, this all goes along real nice, right? Everybody fits into their mold and their role. And then what begins to happen as time goes on, you know, the rescuer maybe isn't taking out the garbage or doing the dishes or cleaning up after themselves. You know, maybe the victim is staying out too late and the rescuer doesn't like how long they're staying out. So what happens is, you know, we start pointing the finger at each other. Now we start to blame and point the finger, which comes in on the persecutor side. So say the rescuer doesn't like what the victim's doing, now the rescuer becomes the persecutor and starts pointing the finger at the victim. Well, if you would only, you know, if you would only come home earlier, I would feel better. If you would only do the dishes, I wouldn't feel all disorganized. So we're blaming. And a good way to know when you're getting in the blaming mode is generally how you feel. Blaming just doesn't feel good. It's not going to be a good feeling. And the same thing can happen with the victim. You know, the rescuer is staying out late, going out with his or her friends, maybe isn't cleaning the house or taking care of the lawn the way the victim thinks that he or she should. So we get into the blame game, and that's the persecutor. Now, we can even draw in people from the outside. You know, we call our friends, our loved ones. Can you believe what he's doing? Can you believe what she did? I can't believe it. And we get them to buy into our story. And then what happens? Time goes on. The rescuer and the victim make up. They forget about their issues. And they start to blame the outside person. So the outside person becomes the persecuted. They get involved in this triangle because the rescuer and the victim are always looking to either pull in a third party. They're looking for someone to blame. If it's not each other, they're going to blame someone else. Because in the victim triangle, we're not taking 100% responsibility. You know, we're looking at, first of all, you know, you hear, I'm looking for my other half, right? As if we're not a whole person. We're a half a person. You know, and we're giving 50% because we expect the other person to give the other 50% to make us whole. You know, how we feel. We're looking out at the other person to make us feel a certain way. You know, our well-being, our security is dependent on how the other person shows up. And sometimes that happens and we're not even aware that it's happening. So the way we step out of this to really break free from the victim triangle is first to become aware. We've got to become aware of our thoughts. Kind of like how Julie was aware of, you know, what happened to her when she was in her dyad, and she, you know, was aware of the thoughts and what was going on and necessarily didn't have a feeling attached to it, and that's excellent. But a lot of times what happens is we make up all kinds of stories about why someone's coming home late, or they're not paying attention to us, or they're always watching TV, or they're not cleaning up the yard or cleaning up after themselves. And we make up stories as to how that affects us and what that means to us. So really, just become aware of what you're telling yourself. And we actually have the ability to change our thoughts. Because thoughts are a choice. We're not victim to our thoughts. You see, what happens is we're walking around, we have all these feelings, we don't know why we're feeling a certain way. But if you slow down enough step into the present moment, become aware, pay attention to what you're telling yourself, and you start to realize that there's thoughts going on that are creating the feelings that you're having. So if you change your story, change the negative, because a lot of times human nature, we just go straight to the negative. It just is. So if we can pay attention to the negative thoughts, well, we can make a choice to choose in positive thoughts, right? And this is part of the circle of serenity. That even sounds nice. So, in the circle of serenity, we become aware of our thoughts. We have a choice. We can choose, right? So we could choose to change our negative thoughts into positive thoughts. We're taking 100% responsibility for our lives. No one is doing anything to us. So many times we think people are doing something to us, even if it's not our partners. We're out at a party or we're somewhere and someone ignores you or they don't say hello, and right away we're starting with these stories, oh, or they didn't see me, or were they ignoring me, or are they mad at me? All these stories we start to make up in our heads that play. And I'm here to say, we don't have to be victim to those stories anymore. We get to choose. And it really just is. Whatever that person is doing is what they're doing. It has nothing to do with us. But so many times we look out at the world, we believe it revolves around us, and if we're expecting others to fulfill a need, well, of course, if they're not behaving the way we think they're supposed to behave, then it's going to affect how we feel. But in reality, what we're looking out through, the lenses we look out through, is the world we're going to see. So if we're seeing people who aren't supporting us, and we're seeing angry people, or, that's a reflection on us and where we're coming from. So we don't attract what it is we want. We attract who we are. So really, in this circle of serenity, once you start to take 100% responsibility for your own life, well, then the world around you that you see becomes the world that you've created. So if you're happy, joyous, and free, well, you're going to see a world that's happy, joyous, and free. You're going to see an abundant world, because abundance is a choice. Abundance of love, health, wealth, happiness, it's all possible if we choose it. So I invite you to break free from the victim triangle and take a plunge into the circle of serenity. It's a much happier place. It's a much more empowering place. And it feels really good. So, thank you for listening. And shortly, I am actually going to tell you about my life-changing products. I have books, CDs, but before we do that, I'd like to ask if there are any questions. Anybody has any questions? I know I went over a lot, I said a lot. Are there any questions about anything that I went over? No?
I want to offer questions. I have a question.
Okay, Julie?
So with the persecutor, does it have to be a third person, or you are also saying that either person in the relationship can become the persecutor? It's not like you have to involve a third person into that triangle.
Okay, so your question is, as a persecutor, does it have to involve the third party, or could it involve just the rescuer and victim in the relationship? Okay, great. Great question. No, it does not have to involve a third person. It can just, they can actually rotate in this triangle. So the rescuer could become the persecutor, victim could become the persecutor, and the relationship gets stuck in the three-way triangle. So, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, let's get rid of here. Are there any other questions? Okay, awesome. Oh, Julie? Another question, sure.
Okay, so you were saying that if you're only taking 50% of the responsibility in the relationship, I was a little unclear on that. Like each person's only bringing half of themselves, is that kind of, or half of the responsibility, or what was the 50% in reference to?
Okay, great. So your question is really, what is the 50% in reference to? Does that mean we're bringing half of ourselves, or is that your question?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Okay,
So I guess what is the 50% in reference to?
what is the 50% in reference to? Okay. Yeah, so what happens is a lot of times, we'll hear people say, this is my other half, or we'll even ask people, how is your other half? Almost to insinuate that we're a half a person, and it's a twofold. That's one. The second piece is a lot of times we're looking for someone else to fulfill a need that, for whatever reason, we might feel it's not something that we can fulfill ourselves, so we're looking outside of ourselves. So that's where that 50% comes in.
Okay, thanks.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
All right, great. All right, thanks, Julie. Any other questions? Okay, great. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, we have lovely assistants in the back. They're going to be waiting to talk to you and sign you up. I'm going to talk to you about my workshop that's coming up. And I'm really excited to tell you about some offers I have as well. So let me tell you. So I have a Saturday workshop, and that's going to be coming up on Saturday, April 21st, and it runs from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, these kind of workshops, an all-day workshop, will go for $1,000 all day long. People get $1,000 for workshops like these every day. No, I charge $500 for my workshops. Now, what you're going to get with this workshop is a free access to my 21-day meditation series. Because we're also going to learn how to meditate, manage our stress, control our emotions. So that is a free access. That's a $50 value, along with the $500. Now, for today only, if you sign up today, before leaving here, I'm going to not only give you the free 21-day access to my meditation series. Sign up today. The workshop is $295 and includes the free 21-day meditation series and a half-hour free coaching session with me. That's $125 value. So you're getting $175 value already, an all-day workshop for $295. So go ahead. I would like you to take advantage, step in the back to the assistants. They take Visa, MasterCard, cash. I have CDs and books available. And just the last thing I would like to say before you change the rest of your life is, how many times have we wanted to make a difference or make a change in our lives, and we never step out, only to look back and say, if I only. Don't make today one of those days. Make today the day that you change your life. So thank you so much for coming out today.